So thank you, Steve. It was a short but very strong talk. Thank you very much. Um, Steve's talk, actually, before I ask for questions, Steve's talk sort of leads into something that I wanted to talk about. You may remember that last Sunday we chanted for Myung Hae Sunim, the nun who died actually last Sunday in Lithuania. Um, she was a remarkable person, and we were privileged to have her visit us here exactly 5 weeks before she died. And she gave this wonderful talk, and the videos are up on our website, on our YouTube site. And they've been making their way around the world because apparently she wasn't videoed that much. And so that's one of the few videos that exists. And so they've been making their way around the world. And those of you who were there, you know she was just full of life. I've never known anybody who is so full of life. And she had these amazing deep dimples. And when she smiled, you know, she had this radiant smile. And in this talk that she gave here, she talked a lot about death. And you have to understand how she died. She was in a car with a friend. She'd just been visiting her mother. She led a retreat, and then she was visiting her mother, and then she was going back to the Zen center where she lived. And they're driving along, and they're behind a truck, and a car comes behind them filled with all these drunk people, including the driver, slams into them, pushes them into the truck. And when you see the photo of their car, which I've seen, um, you you don't even see how they got the bodies out of the car. I mean, it was just completely compressed, just like boom, like that. And so in this talk, 5 weeks before she dies, in this sudden manner, sudden, unexpected, out of nowhere, she talks at length about how nobody knows when they're going to die, and nobody guarantees your life, and how instantly you can be gone, and how important it is to be awake and alive in every moment of your life, and how important it is to live so that you have no regrets. And she doesn't mean you have no regrets because you made a lot of money, or you had a lot of sex, or you ate a lot of good food. She means no regrets because every moment of your life you were alive. And she was like that. Every moment of her life, as far as anyone on the outside could tell, every moment of her life she was alive. And it's very eerie and strange seeing this video where she's talking about how you could die in an instant, and it's so important that every moment of your life you be alive. So I've been thinking about that and upping up my own practice sort of in honor of her. And I encourage everyone to take that to heart. You know, like Steve said, this thing that we think exists and dies, that doesn't actually exist, just like Steve said. What we are is very different from what we think we are. And to be fully alive is to manifest what we truly are. So I encourage everyone to practice hard and to be truly alive. Thank you. And now I'll ask if there are any questions. Just unmute yourself and speak up if there are questions.
Hello.
Hi.
Um, so I try to ask myself, who am I, many times during the day, and sometimes there's no answer, or there's just space, but I don't know what that means, and I don't know, I get very confused sometimes. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, that's
Or
your answer. So this who am I or what am I? You know, it's not, oh, I'm Ramiro, I'm a musician. It's not, oh, I'm Judy, I used to be a mathematician. That's not what that means. This who am I or what am I, that means your true self. And that's before speech and before thinking. So if you have an answer, then automatically it's not the correct answer. So this question, we call this great question or wato. So in Korean it's wato. So this great question, what am I? Sometimes what is this? You know, it's like you're just moving along, you're walking along, you're doing what you're doing, and suddenly you go, what am I? What is this? You know, just boom, you just get stopped all of a sudden. And this, you know, we have this dream that we carry around all this time, this narrative that we carry around all this time. And then suddenly at this moment, this narrative stops. And it's like you become open like that, you know, just, what is this? That already is the answer. This sincere question, asking this question sincerely from the bottom of your heart, from your tian tian, you know, your power spot right there. That kind of question, that's what brings us fully alive, because it cuts through this dream world that we're always living in, you know? So yeah, so when you ask this question and an answer doesn't appear, that is the answer. It's cutting more fundamental, cutting through any kind of answer that we might give. So yeah, keep asking that. And you know what I find is as I practice more and more, the question just comes up. I don't even have to ask it. You know, you're doing something, you're just going around, and then all of a sudden, what is this?
But if what if there's sometimes it's you know I don't want to say despair, but I feel like why there's no answer, you know, and or you know why can there not be an answer?
There is an answer. You're just listening for the wrong kind of answer. It's like if you listen, I'm making up a strange analogy here. If you listen for the flute to come in, but instead it's a cello to come in, and you say, "Where's the flute? Where's the flute?" But in fact, there's not supposed to be a flute. There's supposed to be a cello. You know. So we like that. We listen. We're trained. We're trained to expect answers to appear in a certain way. They come in full sentences. They about words and ideas and language. You know. That's our idea of what an answer is. And we're taught this from the time we learn how to talk. We're inculcated in this notion of conceptual thinking as being the way to deal with everything. And it's a wonderfully useful tool. If it wasn't for conceptual teaching, we wouldn't be, conceptual thinking, we wouldn't be all here together. You know, you'd be in Emporia, I'd be in Lawrence, we'd have no way to talk to each other. We wouldn't be practicing together. So I'm not putting down conceptual thinking. It's great. It's great for what it is. But there's something more fundamental. So the despair, that's not necessary. Yeah, sometimes that happens. So then it's like, okay, you're not necessary. You can feel the despair completely and then let it go because it's just a distraction. The question is what's important. In Zen, we say that the three very important things: there's great faith or great trust, there's great doubt or great question, and there's great determination or great effort. These are the three important things. So the faith is not a faith in something, it's just faith. It's like, okay, I can do this. I'm alive. Whatever situation I'm in, that's my situation. I'll deal with it. This faith, this trust. Sometimes it's said that it's faith that practice will awaken you, and that's useful, you know, but it's a deeper thing. It doesn't even have an object. It's just like, you know, when you put your foot down, that the ground will be there to meet it. And sometimes it's not, and then you fall down, and then you pick yourself up, you know. But it's that kind of real deep faith in the universe. And not that the universe will be good to you and everything wonderful will happen, but it's just this bedrock faith. Like, yeah, it's just this, yeah. And then this great question, this great doubt. So the fact that, in Chinese, the word for question, the word for doubt are in this particular case, it's the same word. I don't know how it is in conversational Chinese, but in the the phrase that I'm translating here, you can translate it as doubt or you can translate it as question. So the fact that doubt and question are the same, that's telling you the question is not like something with an answer. It's like an attitude. It's, what is this? What is this? What is this? And never being satisfied. That's what this doubt is. What is this? I'm going to get to the bottom of it, but the bottom doesn't exist. You just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's what the kind of question you're talking about. And if you think of it, it's also doubt. So it's like an attitude that you look at the world with. What is this? That you're not satisfied with easy answers. And then obviously determination, effort, that's obviously important. Everyone here sat on the cushion or chair or whatever you're sitting in for at least, what was it, 25 minutes, Steve? Certainly over 20 minutes, yeah. So everyone did that. Well, that takes determination, you know, to do that. To move through life, that takes determination. To, get out of bed in the morning, that takes determination. So yeah, so these three things, faith or trust, question or doubt, and determination or effort. Those are three things that are essential. So yeah, so your question is doubt. Your question turns to doubt. Take that attitude with you. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your question. Are there any other questions?
Hi, Judy. Can you help me?
Yeah,
Hi, hi. I've been
I see your name.
okay. If I'm talking to you on my phone. If I scroll back, I think I lose the audio. I think
All right,
I don't know.
okay.
But anyway, so my question is that sorry, my question is I've been reading a book recently by Blanche Hartman called "Seeds for a Boundless Life."
Uh-huh.
And it's a series of essays. And in one of the essays, it's called The Most Transformative Moments. And she talks about when she was demonstrating in San Francisco against the Vietnam War. And she came face to face with a riot policeman and looked right into his eyes. And at that moment, she realized that both she and the policeman had the same concerns about life, that they both had their own fears, they both had a sense of right and wrong, they probably had maybe some day-to-day issues of paying the mortgage, or maybe they had some family concerns and whatnot. And the essay is really about shared identity. So my question is that in today, where we are faced with so many major issues, climate change, BLM, COVID-19, it's, how do you have any guidance or thoughts on how you maintain this idea of shared identity, when, particularly for myself, my sense of outrage is palpable? So do you have any guidance or thoughts on, or maybe your own views on how you've been dealing with situations such as this?
So you might notice I have this giant smile on my face. I knew Blanche Hartman.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I mean, I didn't know her well. I met her a few times at American Zen Teachers Association meetings. And Blanche, she would, like Myung Hae Sunim, she was one of these amazing people, but her affect was very different. Myung Hae Sunim radiated this joy, just this joy. And what Blanche radiated was this strength. She was one of these Soto Zen people who just always, their back was always straight and their chin was always tucked in, and they were just like, she had this strength and at the same time, this tremendous compassion. As she said, and I heard her tell this story several times. So I would give this big smile. I know this story, Andy's telling you. Yeah, she was a force, man. She was just amazing, and she, even into very old age, she was quite amazing, and yeah. And I also know her granddaughter who practiced in our school for a while. And anyway, one of her granddaughters I know. So yeah, so Blanche already told you she looked into this person's eyes. One of the weird things about Zoom is you can't tell who I'm looking at. Like I'm looking into Rusty's eyes right now. Rusty doesn't know that. I'm looking into Charlie's eyes right now. Charlie doesn't know that. Um, so, but in real life, she looked into this person's eyes and she said, "Human," you know. It was just like that. So we have to see each other because we don't see each other. We see through an idea of each other. I'm reading this very interesting book, and now I can't remember the author, but it's called Caste, Caste. And it's about how, we talk about race in this country, but it's actually not about race, it's about caste. You have upper class caste, middle caste. Thank you, Isabel Wilkerson. Thank you, Jennifer. She's an amazing writer, too. So I should remember her name. I mean, she's just a beautiful writer. Anyway, and it's this notion of caste, and she talks about it in different historical situations. And it's this way we make somebody else other. You're not part of my world. You are not fully human.
Mm.
Do that to each other. I remember when I was, and I'm younger than Blanche, but about the same time, I was also running around in the streets of California, yelling at police and calling them pigs. And the only good pig is a dead pig and that kind of stuff. And how could I do that? Because I didn't see them as human. And I actually got gassed from a helicopter. It's bizarre. This is during the People's Park thing in Berkeley, where people were demonstrating because they were taking this park and they were going to build housings on it, and a university building or something like that. And it was sort of like a people's park. The people had claimed it, and so we were demonstrating and stuff. And there was nothing going on that day. And I was about to cross onto campus, and I looked up Bancroft Way and I looked down Bancroft Way, and they were like these, I guess they were sheriff deputies. I mean, they were these armed guys, one said here, one said here, and they were moving towards the corner where I was. And there was nothing going on. I don't know why they were there. And this, young woman, younger than me, I mean, I was also a young woman, she turns to me and said, "We didn't do anything." And I said, "They don't care." And I ran across, and I ran to the, towards the library, which is quite a ways away, but that was the first building I thought I could get to. And as I'm approaching the library, I look up, there's a helicopter, and I look up, and this gas is coming out of it. And I didn't know what it was. Tear gas? Napalm? I didn't know what it was. It was just this stuff coming out of it. And I was like the only person around. Like, why were they gassing me? It was just me. And I ran into the library. It was tear gas, and as I ran into the library, I could tell it was tear gas. And how could they do that? They could do that because they didn't think we were human.
Right.
So that's how we do. How do they drop the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Because they thought those people are not human. Oh, Rusty asked, is Blanche Hartman, Hartman or Mann, I forget which, and Blanche with an E. Yeah, so that's it. We forget that we're all human. So we have to remember we're not only all human, we're all Buddha. And that's not just an idea. We talk about, oh, this is the Mahayana, we believe in Buddha natures in everyone. Zen is not about belief. Zen is about perception. We are all Buddha. We all have this Buddha nature. And not just us, but mosquitoes and snakes, lions, tigers, kittens, birds, plants, this glass of water. We all have this Buddha nature. And we have to see it. It's not just an idea. It's like you look into a person's eyes and you see their humanity. You listen to a person's movements and you hear their humanity. You touch someone, you feel their humanity. We just have to be aware all of the time of this. So it's not like an idea and you carry this idea and you repeat it to yourself. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like you have to really awaken that in yourself. And it's not just we all have this Buddha nature, but we're not even distinct from each other. We're all parts of this universe, this web. We're all manifestations. You know, the Indra's net, but Indra's net is not such a good example because in Indra's net, you have a jewel over here and a jewel over here and a jewel over here, and it's not even like that. It's like this fabric, and we're all part of this fabric. We're all, threads in this fabric. We can't separate ourselves from each other.
Okay.
So just see that. Don't think about it. See that. Okay? Thank you.
Got it. Thank you.
Let's see, we have time for one more question if there is one.
Judy?
Let's see, I hear. Okay. Oh, Allie. Okay, great. I see you. Okay.
Sorry, there's a train going by right now.
That's okay.
So,
It has nature too.
so you post a lot of photographs of the Baker wetlands, and it's where they're often.
Uh-huh.
This kind of ties together with you were just talking about everything has Buddha nature, the insects and the glass of water and the plants and everything, and also, this kind of ties together with this. What is this? So can you say something about this, just going out in nature and your experience with that?
Well, you just said it. But also, I want to say that it's true that, I mean, first of all, there are two separate things in what you said, and one thing is having a deep respect for nature, understanding we're a part of nature, understanding, what we call nature, we're separating it from human beings. What we call nature, which doesn't have pavement, right? Okay. Like I just read yesterday, I saw a headline that Prime Minister Modi in India, he wants to destroy this forest so that people can dig coal. And it's this ancient, ancient forest. And, like, what is he thinking? So we have to appreciate this planet and this universe and everything in it, and that this is what sustains us. But I'm going to say something separate from that. It's true that going into nature, if you're thinking now of ourselves rather than thinking of nature. Okay, so if you think of this planet, you have to think of this planet, not of yourself. But then there's a thing where you're just like going crazy and you got to get out there, and you get out there and like, so that's a different thing. And what I want to say is that this is going to sound strange. It's a great gift to be able to do that. But we have to be so open and so clear that no matter what situation we are in, we can still be open and clear. So that, a lot of people, it's like, well, if I can't get my bike ride in, if I can't take my walk, if I can't, walk in a forest, if I can't go to a beach, then I fall apart. So that's sort of using nature for ourselves. And yeah, I mean, I love being out there. I love the Baker Wetlands. Tom and Wenda, they call it the lungs of Lawrence. And it kind of, and you know, when you're talking about Buddha nature, I was out there sometime last week and I saw a snake eating a frog, you know, and it had grabbed the frog by the tail, so the frog's head was out and the frog was just screaming. And of course, being me, I tried to take a photo, but the snake, you know, just slithered away really fast. Um, that snake and that frog, that was their Buddha nature in that moment, you know. I mean, that frog was already dissolving. Um, and yeah, so it's very complicated, but we need to find that inner strength. So no matter what our situation, you know, we can be in a prison cell, which is not very big. You don't get to go outside very much. When you do, it's like a concrete yard or a dining hall or something. Even in that situation, you can be free. You can be alive. You can be fully alive. In any situation, you can be in a hospital bed. You can be fully alive in any situation. So, yeah, it's wonderful to do these things that give us strength and give us energy and wake us up a little bit. But this waking up has to come from here. Can't come from the outside. It comes from the outside, you know, it's like people with type 1 diabetes, they have to give themselves an insulin shot, always. They always have to give themselves an insulin shot. You always have to get out and do that thing, whatever that thing is, whether it's walking in nature or taking that bike ride or whatever. And to really be free means that, yeah, it's wonderful to do that, and please go ahead and do that, and I should do that, and I need it, and everything like that. But to understand that we're not dependent on that. We're not dependent on that for our own clarity. Waking up is what we have to do. So thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Did somebody else have a quick question? I think, Doug, did you have a question? I heard your distinctive voice.
It can wait.
Because, yeah, it is kind of time and people get Zoom fatigue. So let me explain what happens now. Well, first I should make announcements. So announcements are next week is an interview weekend. It's 10 o'clock